Fantastic. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for another ERA Live. Today's topic is about the ERA 2024 White Pin Internship Program, what you need to know. Many manufacturers rep firms are interested in an internship but don't know where to start. Well, with a White Pin Internship Program, ERA can potentially help. During the session, you'll learn more about the internship program in general, the application process, tips on searching for and working with universities to find potential intern candidates, using ERA's training guidelines, and more. ERA CEO Walter Tobin will facilitate today's discussion and will introduce our two special guest speakers. Before we get started, please keep your devices on mute, but questions are encouraged. So if you'd like to ask a question, please utilize the chat box or the raise hand function. Walter, I will now turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Erin. Well, you're in for a treat today. We have two of the finest of the ERA nation on the call today. We have Ms. Ellen Cohen, who's Vice President of Operations of CC Electro, one of the biggest, best rep companies in Indiana, who's also our Senior Vice President of Education on the ERA Executive Committee. And we also have Kingsland Coombs, who's President of Control Sales, who was Senior Vice President at large, and who's also the Executive Director of the ERA White Pin organization. We're going to spend some time talking about the ERA White Pin internship. As always, feel free to ask questions on the chat room, and Erin will call on you, Erin or Claire, and then we'll have you unmute your mic and ask the question. So why don't we get started? So Ellen, I'm gonna start the question with you. Could you just tell us what is the ERA White Pin internship program?
Thanks, Walter. Sure. So the ERA White Pin internship program is a way that member ERA reps can support an intern. A lot of people are not, like you said, like Walt said, not sure where to turn, how to start, what to do. So we're trying to give you some tools. And I think last week's session with Alex Gabby, and he talked about academia and where to find new hires or interns and how to go about that. He had a lot of great information on that. But our rep firms are small or medium sized. We don't have the big HR department to go out and recruit and interview and hire and then onboard our new hires. So we're all doing it ourselves. So as rep owners, we need a little bit more support, some tools. So ERA's really taken a great step with White Pin and has this internship program. And we go one step further. It's kind of like our feeder program to our next gen group. So once you have an intern and you've hired them, and then there's a group within ERA that the next gen get together and they talk about different topics and tips and tricks of being a rep. So there's a lot of tools here at ERA to help you find the interns and train them and all that. And we just wanted to share with you some things that we have on board today. So that's what it's all about.
Thanks, Ellen. So Kingsland, it's the ERA White Pin internship program named after Mark Marchinger. Tell us about what is the White Pin organization and how did this get put under White Pin?
Thanks, Walt. The ERA White Pin Group was formed in 1960 to recognize individuals for their contributions to the ERA in volunteering for different ERA initiatives and for serving our industry in other ways for at least 2 years. The White Pin Group recognized the need of the rep community to help attract, hire, and retain rising college juniors, seniors, and graduates into the rep community to help keep our industry fresh and relevant. And then the internship program was thus formed. As you noted, the White Pin internship program is named after Mark Matzinger, and he ran the White Pin organization for 16 years. The recent influx of funds is due in no small part to Mark's enthusiasm for the program. Did Mark join? Is he on? I wanted to give him a virtual clap, but I don't know if he made it on or not. Anyway, we thank Mark for all his contribution to the White Pin internship program. It would not be what it is today without him.
Thanks, Ken. So Ellen, how long has this White Pin internship program been around? Give us a little history of it.
Sure. So this is our third year. The first year we had 2 participants, and our goal is to have one from how there's many chapters. So we wanted to have an internship in the West, in the Central, and in the East. So the first year we had 2 people apply, and 2 people got the internship. The second year we had 3 people in our internship program, and this past year, or this year, we hope to have 3 as well. So this will be our third year that we have been doing this.
So Kingsland, it's as Ellen stated, it's only open to ERA rep members. Why is it being limited to reps? Kingsland.
It's limited to reps primarily because, as she stated earlier, that's really part of the White Pin is really for ERA reps only. But I want to describe the process, Walt. That was kind of my next point.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I'm not really sure everyone knows the process to apply for the White Pin internship. The internship application details are found on the About ERA tab at the top of the ERA website. Upon clicking that tab, the application guidelines pop up with links to the rep and intern applications. It's very easy to go through. But please note, as Walt had mentioned, this really is for ERA reps only. But note that the rep must have a corresponding intern application filled out before being considered as a recipient of the internship subsidy. The ERA and the White Pin Group offers a substantial monetary sum to help supplement the anticipated cost of the intern for the summer. Claire did send out a blast from ERA National on November 6th, and you can refer to that email also to help with the process. Also note that the deadline for the rep and intern applications is January 31st. And we do plan to announce the recipients of the subsidy at the conference on the 27th. Now, Walt, I just was thinking about that with Ellen yesterday. And I know that's like my son, in fact, when he was getting his internship, a lot of these kids are getting the nod in December and January. So I just wanted to bring that up, that if we've got known candidates and there is a time deadline, that we might want to reconsider at least announcing it to the recipients sooner than the end of or at the conference. What do you think?
I think that's fine. I think that makes sense. We can let them know officially, we can announce it, and then we can re-announce it at the conference.
Right.
Yeah,
Because like we saw, we've already got 3 or 4 already asking for the internship and interviewing their candidates. And my concern is that if we've got candidates that have multiple offers, that we may not have the luxury of waiting. So I thought I'd throw that out.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Great recommendation. So Ellen, where do I find these interns?
So I always say you'd be surprised, but they're right in front of you. I think they're your kids, they're your kids' friends, they're your favorite nieces and nephews, they're your next door neighbor. You just need to look and talk to people and get some ideas, but you also have your local colleges and universities. So Alex did a great job presenting how to find the kids there, but I just kind of wanted to review it. There is a program called Handshake, and there's a free version that I use. And you go on and you apply to the different schools that use Handshake. It's just simply handshake.com if you want to put that in the chat, Aaron. And you sign up as an employer looking for students for a certain job and in your job description. I also listened to the STEP program on ChatGPT recently, and Matthew did a great job giving ChatGPT a prompt of how to write a job description. So we have all these tools at ERA to help you find these students. The other thing I've learned is a lot of schools now have an integrated business and engineering degree. I think it used to be called industrial distribution at some schools, but now they're calling it just IBE, integrated business and engineering. So if I'm in 3 different ERA territories. So I have a territory that I have an open outside sales position that I'd like to find a student who's graduating in May or December to fill. So I actually I go to the career counseling group at either the business school or engineering school. And then I ask if they have one of these integrated types of degrees. A lot of them have that, and technical sales is one of their specialties or concentrations, if you will. So I've made 1 or 2 phone calls and gotten to talk to somebody who then presented it to the class of those integrated business and engineering students. And I've actually gotten resumes, but I also am on Handshake and have received resumes through Handshake. So there's a lot of ways. And then I think Alex also talked about the business fraternities, that was another way to find students. So I think there's a lot of ways to find the students, but then one other idea is there's job fairs. And I participated in the Purdue engineering, specifically just for engineering students at Purdue, job fair with our Indiana, Kentucky ERA chapter. So we pooled our resources, and we all, there were 3 of us that attended the table and just talked to students and told them what we do. But, the goal here is to educate students on the rep model and how great it is, how cool it is, as Alex talked about, how you're a consultant. He used that as a key term in your job description. All these things that kids are looking for. It's not always about the money. It's about the flexibility and the types of products that you're getting to work with and see being developed. So all those cool things, if you just encourage students and get out there and tell people about it, I think it's going to grow our next generation of reps.
Alan, I just to jump on that.
Yeah.
You told me to listen to Alex Gabi's thing, and I did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought it was fascinating about the term sales.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of kids, when they hear the term sales, they think of going to the mall and being, having a salesman talking about their shoes, something like that. And that's got a negative connotation. And using the word consultant might help. I just thought that was interesting, because even one of my boys, up until he's 25 years old, he would say that, oh, I don't want to get into sales. I don't want to get in those kind of situations, or you're always trying to sell to somebody something they don't want, like, this is my own child. And I think that to sell it to these young people about that they're actually consulting and getting into electronics, I think is really important to specify. And the other thing I want to mention, and again, Ellen, you kind of reminded me about this, but 2 of the recipients last year was they got their interns from conversations with one. It was your brother, conversation in an elevator down after his visit, and they started talking about each other, and the customer mentioned that he had a son at school and wanted to get into sales. Lo and behold, he's a fantastic candidate, becomes an intern at CC Electro. And
Right.
Another was a neighbor where they were raking leaves and they started talking about it, and lo and behold, Jebco got an intern. So like you said, where do you find them? Sometimes they're right in front of you, and you don't even know it unless you start talking to people. Pretty fascinating.
I think the other thing that I picked up from Alex, and by the way, if anybody on the call didn't listen to Alex Gabby's ERA Live, it's archived on the website. It's fascinating. It's a look into a peek into the world of academia through the eyes of Alex, who was one of us. He was a former general manager of Arrow in Texas. But he also talked about establishing a dialogue with the professors at the schools. And sometimes if you find out who the marketing professor is or the engineering professor, usually their email format is probably all the same. You have to just find out what it is. Email them and say, listen, I'd like to talk about internship. I get an opening. They'll sort of guide you to their best students. So all those little tricks of the trade. And again, I think that, talk to you if you have children or relatives, neighbors in college, ask them, tell them you have a potential opportunity. They all have friends that are looking. So it's really it takes a village. Kingsland, we talked about all this stuff. What about training programs? Once the rep finds the intern and wants to bring them on board, is there anything that ERA can do to help them with a training syllabus and what to do once the first morning they start?
Yeah, well, we do have that. So the training guidelines can be found at the bottom of the White Pin internship page, again, under the About ERA tab. It references a 10-week program. The email announcement on November 6th regarding the White Pin program also has a tab for the program overview and its training guidelines. If interested in the program, please feel free to communicate with past year's recipients. CC Electro, Tarcom, and Jebco. We asked their presidents whether they would feel comfortable to share their experiences, and they said they'd absolutely love to. They had such a great experience with these young men last summer that they would really appreciate sharing those experiences. If you want to communicate with either of them or either the three of them, please email Ellen or me or Aaron or whatever, and we can provide you with their contact information.
And the year before that was Aurora. I think I'm saying that right, for Aparna's
Aurora
company.
Group, yeah. Yeah.
And then English Technical Sales,
Right.
which is CAM English. So
Right.
any of those people would be happy to talk to you about it as well.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Aaron, I'm going to take a pause here. Do we have any questions on the chat room that we want to unmute people and have them ask a question?
There's one question from David. He loved the idea that Ellen went to a university tabletop show. He's wondering, does ERA have a university ambassador that can go to universities and preach the word of ERA? I don't believe that we do, but
Not.
it's an interesting
No, but
idea.
it's pretty easy to do. And what was funny was, so I'm at Purdue in West Lafayette, Indiana, and we had a kid come up from Texas. And so we collected all the resumes and then we shared them with everyone in our chapter. But if I had somebody that was looking for a job in another chapter area, I would share that. So I shared it with Toby Cornell at Cruvan.
Right.
And I think that person ended up with she probably knows the story and the more details, but we ended up placing a Texas person from the Purdue job fair. So
Oh,
it
that's
was
cool.
just kind of a neat
Yeah.
twist to the whole thing.
That's
That's
great,
a great story.
man.
Yeah, it was just an idea that I came up with, y'all. If there was some particular person versus the local reps that have to take on that responsibility.
I think it should be your chapter delegate. I think that should be one of their jobs.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll go
Okay,
tell Toby
appreciate
right.
that, Ellen.
I'll tell Toby right away.
I think that, David, we'll try to give you as much air cover from ERA National. We've got some stuff that Kingston pointed out. There's a lot of stuff you can print down. I wish we had a canned presentation from ERA on the industry. I wish we had collateral. It's something that's been on my top 10 to-do list for 15 years. And we just never gotten around to it. And but it is something that's really needed. It would be great to have it.
I don't know if
Thank you.
I don't know if this fits or not, but there is a next gen video of 3 or 4 of our next gen members talking about the industry and what they do, and encouraging college students to look at the rep model and become a rep. So that's another thing that's on the website that I don't think it's really dated at all. I think it's relevant to any time to show that to somebody who might be thinking about this industry.
The other point I think you made, Ellen, was, you're going to go to a local university where you live. Well, not all the students are from there.
Right.
They may be going to Indiana, but they're from Florida or they're from Arizona. So you may end up talking to somebody who's fascinated, and you could refer that resume to the reps or the chapter in that area and see if anybody is interested in hiring an intern. And not all the youngsters live there. They just happen to go to school there. So that's another opportunity that if we would go out and try to get more people out interviewing, we can help populate, we can help feed more areas than just where those schools are.
Absolutely. I think the Tarcom intern last year was working in California, but went to school and worked. I don't say it right. You say it. Worcester,
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 Boston.
Goes
Worcester,
to
He went to school in
Worcester
Boston, right?
Polytech. Yeah, he goes to school here.
Yeah.
WPI.
Who knew?
Yeah.
I-
So,
I ran
that was-
into him at the golf event in California, and I said, "Very nice to meet you." I said, "Where do you go to school?" He said, "I go to a school outside of Boston." I said, "Really? Where do you go?" He said, "I go to WPI." I told him, I said, "I live in Needham," which is, so he was stunned that somebody from Boston was at the California event.
Right.
But and he's a TACOM employee. I know that Aaron's on the call, but just really a fine person. So Aaron, Ellen and Kingsland, what about, I'm sorry, Ellen, we have a question on the chat room.
Yes, Mr. Tanzola has
Mr.
an
Tanzola,
interesting question. Chad, would
excuse
you
me.
like to unmute yourself?
Mr. President.
Sure. One of my questions is, the internships are great, but one of my questions is, what is the time for people who've done this? What's the time investment on the part of the rep company in bringing an intern on and in supporting them and making it a meaningful experience for them? Rep business is not the easiest business for people to understand coming in cold, and you've got a finite window so I'm just curious what the time commitment is and so
Ellen, you're gonna have to take that. I haven't done it.
So Chuck, I don't know that I can put it in hours or days or whatever, but what I like to do is share my intern with all my people. So they spend days with, everyone. They travel with the guys, they make sales calls, they sit with my marketing person and figure out how to do an email blast. They sit with my inside person and figure out how to do quotes and take care of customer issues, right? So I try not to burden one person, but there's still, it depends on where they live. That person is probably going to be their go-to person, but I try to share that time, I guess, is what you're asking. Does that answer you a little bit?
it is, and your comment so begs the question. My organization is very distributed.
Okay.
I have people from Maine to Virginia, and there's not a cluster of 4 or 5 people in an office, so that'd be very difficult to share time without them traveling.
Yeah.
I'm just that's my biggest challenge, is figuring out how to support them, bringing on somebody to have a meaningful experience.
Yeah, there's also tools. I think each of your principals have portals with training guides and things like that are useful. Spending time maybe virtually with your principals and learning more about them would not be as hard. It doesn't take travel to do that, right? Just some of the other ideas that we've done too.
Hey, Aaron Fox, do you want to chime in a little bit?
Yeah.
With your experience with TACOM?
Yeah.
With Dylan?
Yeah, hi everyone. It was a similar experience for TARCOM. The president, Ian, was using Dylan to help with our commission database and do some coding for us. I was using Dylan to help peruse some like DigiKey local insight reports, Mauser new business opportunity reports. Our operations manager, Mike, he also had some specific Dylan tasks. So we all kind of used him when we needed something done. And it definitely took a lot of time out of, well, I had probably spent maybe an hour each day for several weeks in the summer sitting with him and trying to explain something to him or teaching him how I wanted a certain task to be completed or reviewing his work. But I also really cared about him and making it a good experience for him. So I was happy to do that. I guess it depends. We were also lucky that, or we had go to the office in person. We're in the office at least 3 days a week. So we had a lot of in-person face-to-face time, which I recognize not all reps are, their organization is structured that way.
So Chuck, the other thing just to mention is it all depends on the experience of this intern. Like Aaron's experience was with Dylan, and Dylan is a computer science, data science guy. And so they use his expertise in helping with coding for, like she said, POS reports, commission database. So he had this unique talent where he could actually be told what to do and then kind of hit the ground running based on, his enthusiasm for a certain task. And that's why he was more successful than you'd imagine because of his focus in school.
I think also, Chuck, the energy you receive from these students, it's intangible. It's hard to describe. It just gives you a new sense in your office with your people. They just bring on, I think energy is the best way I can explain it. When I took our intern into my accounts, I would ask my engineers, I said, what do you want to tell him about a good salesman and a bad salesman? And that was really eye-opening for me too, because
Wow.
I wouldn't have the opportunity to say that to someone, do you like how I sell or not, right? So what I learned is one of the guys told him to learn to play golf. And I was like, well, you don't have to do that all the time. And then another one said, hey, bug me with emails. I don't always see your emails, and I don't care if you send me the same email 6 times. I'm going to answer it and keep bugging me, which I thought was pretty insightful, because sometimes I'll think, oh, I just sent him one. Should I send him another one? And this guy was saying, hey, we're buried. We are just so overwhelmed all the time. Keep sending them. So I thought that was insightful too. So you're learning, it's just like when you do a QBR or you do an interview for a line, you learn more about yourself and your company, and you just grow more. So having this intern and having that energy and their new way of doing things, it's hard to describe, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, and just to jump on that a little bit, when Ellen Walt and I got the chance to interview the owners, Aaron was included, and the interns, just talking to them, and the word that Ellen keeps saying is energy and enthusiasm. It just went right through. We just had a video, and I just was so excited to be in the industry that I'm in, because of just talking to these young people. They just had so many ideas, and they were very appreciative of the opportunity that they had, and they wanted to give back and do well. And we think about what we hear about Gen Zs and millennials and what they want in their lives. But man, when we were talking to these 3 young people, they just looked like, they acted like, and they were normal people who wanted to succeed, period. Forget about how they were 22 years old. They were just normal people wanting to do well. And it really was fabulous. It just getting a charge of that. Ellen and her company has experienced a couple interns, so she knows a lot better than I do. But I just like that part of the experience was that.
Aaron, do we have any other questions on the chat room? Aaron?
We do. Charlie has a question. Charlie, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi, yeah, I think it was pretty much answered, actually. It was more around, does the focus have to be on strictly outside sales, or can they be utilized for operations and analytics? And the recent comments just answered that, so I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Whatever you need. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, don't worry about that at all. It's just whatever they can do to help your company. So when we look at the last 5 that we had, Dylan, as we just stated from Tarcom, he did a lot of inside work. He also talked to customers, but he did a lot of sales process, coding, inside sales type work. And then I think it was either Aurora Groups or English Technical Sales. One of them also did more inside work than outside work. So it does not matter, for sure. Whatever you need.
Right, yeah, it's really up to you as the rep and
Right.
applying as to what you need, but it's not limited to engineering, degrees either. If you want to get somebody that's a liberal arts major or a business major, whatever your rep company needs, because obviously, the purpose of the internship is for you to take them for a test drive and them to take you for a test drive.
Right.
And we're gonna sort of give you a little summary of more than I know Kingston and Ellen have already talked about it, but a lot of these interns have stuck. There's a lot of stickiness, and they stay with the company. So you're taking each other for a test drive, usually over a 10-week period. So, well, to Kingston's point, whatever you need, whatever you need him to do. So what Kingston and Ellen, we've got, I think you've talked a lot about it so far, but you know, the ones that we've hired, have they stuck around? Are they still working for their companies? Did they leave us and go off into do something else? Or what's your sense?
All right, let me take that. Alan, just chime in when, if I miss something, but, all right, so kind of in summary, we had, 3 interns last year. One was with Jebco, and Jebco's in Nashua, New Hampshire. Their intern's name was Imad Hankour, and he goes to UMass Lowell. He's a mechanical engineer in the College of Engineering. And like we were just talking with Charlie, he spent most of his time as a salesperson. So he shadowed the FSRs and witnessed in person what they do. You know, as we talked to him in our interview, he was so appreciative of his opportunity. He got into engineering with customers, engineering discussion with customers, got into sales opportunities, and he felt like it never got stale. So he really loved the opportunity. And so lo and behold, he got offered a job by Jebco. He starts in May, and he's finishing up his degree in April. So great success story with Jebco and Imad. And if you ever get a chance to talk to Don Hingley, he will tell you how excited he was about the whole process. So that's Jebco. And then, so Aaron talked a lot about Dylan at Tarcom, so I won't go too much about that, but that was Dylan's second internship with Tarcom. And when Ian talks about Dylan, he said very clearly that on that second year, Dylan really knew what was going on. Training wheels were off, and he contributed a ton to the rep firm. Aaron, I think I'm saying the right thing, but he's completing his degree, and he'll be joining Tarcom in May. Is that correct?
Yeah, Dylan's actually doing a 5-year program. So he is going to be graduating in December of next year.
Okay.
So things are on hold while he continues his education. And right now we have some verbal commitments, but we're also understanding that he's probably still going to be learning a lot in his schooling. And if things change, we're still going to be so happy and proud of wherever he ends up.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, just very successful 2 summers that he had with Tarcom. And then the third was CC Electro. And this was out of their Plymouth, Michigan office. Their intern was Liam Lamberti, and he goes to Michigan State. And he's one of the ones that is doing a combo program. He's in applied engineering sciences with a focus on technical sales. Because of his background, his technical background, they got him involved in an FAE role, which was very interesting for a young person to get in so quickly. And Matt Cohen was explaining to me that he took an AI hardware training program. And with that background, he used ChatGPT to come up with a sales plan and introduced it to a very difficult customer. And actually made some progress. So it's just amazing when you think about that these young people, 22, 23, can have such an impact, but they think differently than we do. And some of these young people are so technical because they've been doing it since they've been 2 years old. And it's kind of remarkable what they can do. But anyway, Ellen, I might have confused Tarcom with CC Electro, but I think, is Liam the same, that he's gonna?
Yeah, he's a rising, I call it a rising
All
senior.
right, so he's gonna graduate in December of 24, and he's
Right.
planning on joining your company in January 25?
Yeah, he'll do another internship with us this summer,
Right.
and hopefully go into that AI company and make a sales call on his own. He was really anxious to do that. He came to work for us because he really likes the automotive component validation. He learned Matt told him, be careful what you wish for, because it's a crazy world in automotive. And as we've all gone through the strike and all these things that have happened while he's been back at school, it's going to be interesting this summer as we all go through 2024 and see what's going on then, right?
Yep.
So it's gonna be good for him.
So that was my summary, Walt, on the
Yeah,
three.
no, and honestly, you know, here we are, ERA, we're, you know, a not-for-profit trade association. We're trying to help the reps to restock the pond. Help you with some guidance on, you know, collateral to bring, where to go. I mean, Ellen and Kingston are our experts, our boots on the ground. You know, talk about handshake. These are all things that might be very foreign to you, but to give you some guidance on where you find people, how you onboard them, and then hopefully keep them after the internship. So, and again, it's a significant financial commitment by ERA, by White Pin, to subsidize the cost of the reps when they come in for your 10 weeks in the summer. So it's not an insignificant expense that we incur. Ken, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I do. We used an intern. We may have been in the first year the program was working, and I'm really speaking for Aparna, who's a partner in our firm, and she's the one that arranged everything. But we got started really by luck. A local school system here in our Raleigh, North Carolina area is Wake Tech. They're a vocational school, and they have 6 or 7 campuses, really, really large organization. And they had a career day at one of their campuses. And we were at that time starting to think about an intern, and your program was just kicking off. So we thought we'd go there. So we went to the career day, and a lot of youngsters walked by. We had a table set up, a tabletop show with our products. And most of the kids, you know, just kind of walked by. But this one young lady, probably 19 years old, she stopped and started talking to us. And man, she just sold us in an instant.
Yeah, right. Congrats.
This was
So
a
cool.
special person.
Yeah.
And she had already had her own web-based marketing website, where she had purchased consumer electronics. Well, I don't say consumer electronics, but consumer products from China. And she was buying the product, bringing it over, inventorying it. And when we got to talking to her and she understood that we were in a commissionable business, she said, wow, because I've gotten stuck with so much inventory that I can't move. That sounds very interesting to me.
Yeah, get out of
And so we immediately hired her, and she worked for us one full summer, and now she works for us still because she's still in school. And when she has time, Aparna arranges all this. I'm really not involved with it. But, you know, as far as technical prowess that you mentioned, you know, she's really up on all the social media. So she has been teaching us a tremendous amount about, you know, Twitter and all these social media venues that the young engineers use to communicate. And it's really, and she's helped us with e-blasts. She puts those together for us. So we've learned a lot from her. And I know she'll probably be doing this for us until she graduates school. After that, you know, we have no idea, but been very successful. I would say we lucked out finding her.
Bravo.
Great
Well
job.
done.
Great story.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Erin, other questions in the chat room?
Yeah,
Yes, we have a
couple.
question from Robert. Robert, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I was just curious, like how long did it typically take the people that got these interns to find them and make a position to them? And then I guess the second part is that once you had them, did you have a structured plan of what you wanted them to do? Or, you know, how do you make sure you have, you know, a roadmap of what they're going to do for you while you have them for that brief period of time and make sure it's worth both parties' investment?
Ellen, you want to take that?
You want to take that?
Sure. So there's a guideline, a 10-week guideline that's on the website that you can look at that. But you can also, it just depends on what your firm needs, what you're hoping to gain. Maybe you want that social media presence and they can, set that up, help you with that. It depends on what you need for that part of your question. And then the other part about finding them, it depends again on how many opportunities they have for an internship and what they're looking for, and if you found the right person. So it could be quick or it could take a while. It's just karma, I guess. I don't know. You find them or you don't real quick, right? We were lucky, and that engineer, his son needed an internship and he was in sales. So that one fit. That was really quick. And we hired him and we had that 10-week plan. But I also, listening to Matthew's chat GPT, he did a prompt into OpenAI and he said, I'm a rep, I sell electronic components. I need a training plan for an intern for the summer. And then chat GPT spit out a training plan. And then you can take that and tweak it to fit your company. I mean, we have so many tools. We also, once you do hire them, I don't know if you use SearchLink AI in the rep, turning them loose on that and learning how to use that better, that would take loads of time off of me. We always joke about getting in a rabbit hole. I mean, I get in a rabbit hole with SearchLink AI all the time and can't get out, and where's the time gone? So things like that, having them do and figure out for you, I think is very valuable. But that's just my input. I don't know if that helps at all.
It does, because it's something that we've kicked around for a long time, and I think we've just, typical rep firm, you got so many other fires to put out that you don't focus on it. And my thought process, if someone's already done this process and it's been successful, I'd rather copy it than try to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
So.
Robert, I completely agree that's what you should do. Like we mentioned, you've got these three owners plus Aaron Fox who went through it last year, and then you got Aparna and you got English Technical Sales did it 2 years ago. I would call them and just talk, because that's the only way you're really gonna get the experience of a rep that just did it. Because I haven't done it yet, so I'm just kind of spitballing, just like what you are. I don't know really how to do it except follow these guidelines and talk to other people and figure it out as it goes along. But I think what we're trying to say is you've got a lot of support based on people who've already done it, and just talk through it. And if you want to do it, if you have the opportunity to get some energy in the company, giving it a try is the best thing you can possibly do.
Okay. Thank
you.
So,
Robert, what you might want to, so first of all, we've got a real live intern who's now a rising, or he's in his 4th year at WPI. So maybe you can get his contact information from Aaron Fox at TACOM.
That's a good idea.
Email him and say, listen, you got any friends that are at WPI? WPI is a very fertile school. And also UMass Lowell has a great business program, computer science, double E's.
Really good point.
Load is your oyster up at UMass, which is where the Johnny Boeing intern. Right. So you could email Don Higley. He'll give you his intern's contact information. Say, look, you got any friends in the dorms up at UMass Lowell? Those are 2 schools.
Really good point. Because both those kids, Robert, man, I swear, those the energy out of all 3 of them, but Imad was off the charts. It's just fabulous.
Well, and finding a student that's that driven and motivated and self, they can work on their own, all those kinds of things, which you need in a salesperson too. But right out of college, interviewing for that's hard. But I think those people that we have all found have been great. So somehow we asked the right questions or got lucky. I don't know.
And those two people would help when they talk to their friends. Say, listen, let me tell you something. I stumbled into this industry. This is a great opportunity. Let me tell you about the reps. They could help sell the deal and probably give you names and email addresses, Robert, at both WPI and UMass Lowell. They would be pre-sold before you get up there, Robert.
No, but shame on me. My first cousin's son just graduated with his MBA from WPI in December, so I should probably start there.
Tap him. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Aaron, so that great question though, Robin. Great
Yeah,
question.
and Robert, by the way, I put the link to the intern training guidelines in the
Thank
chat.
you.
if
Yeah,
wanna
I'm
click on that.
copying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think
Just a
Claire
start.
posted some stuff on the chat room also, so
Yeah.
look at the chat room. Again, this call is being recorded, but there's a lot of good stuff that we have, little ERA, we put it together thanks to, Kingston and Ellen, and it's a good start. We're not a big organization, we're certainly not a professional recruiting organization. We're part of you, we're a sales organization, reps, manufacturers, distributors. Aaron, any other questions on the chat room we want to get to?
Yes, we have another question from Mr. Tanzola. Chuck?
Well, I just asked about compensation, asked if you could talk a little bit about compensation of interns and rates and, typical and so forth.
So when we laid this out in our own sort of simple minds, we decided that we guesstimated that an intern was going to be about $15 an hour. Could be more, could be less. 40 hours a week would be $600 a week. 10 weeks over the summer is $6,000. So we said, okay, we want to, and again, you might have to pay the intern more or less. We're not telling you what to pay them, but we said, okay, let ERA, between ERA National and White Pin, pick up a healthy percentage of that. So the ERA National will send the rep $2,000. White Pin sends $2,000. So the recipient of the White Pin internship, the rep company, not the intern, gets $4,000 from ERA, and then the balance you'd pay them out of your pocket.
Right.
So not an insignificant amount of money.
Well,
It helps certainly defray a lot of the expense of the intern.
and I hope we as reps can pay more than 15 bucks an hour because that's McDonald's wage. I only say that because my kid got a software engineering internship last year and they paid him 17, and it's ridiculous all the work that he did for them for 17
Hey,
bucks
there's also unpaid internships.
I know there is.
I think it's great that we are paying them.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I think
again-
competitive, like I think in the chat room, somebody said 25 to 30. That's probably on the high side, but that's competitive. You get some of these kids that are getting banking internships. Those are crazy, stupid money. So I think somewhere in the 20s is about right for these kids.
Again, we're trying to take a lot of the cost of the internship off of the rep company. We're not paying the whole thing. If you have to pay more than that, whatever the difference is beyond the $4,000, God bless you. But for an organization like ERA, $4,000 per intern times 3 is a nice expense that we smile when we write the checks. Believe me.
Right. And I think the other point is that, a lot of rep firms may do internships just regardless, whether they get the money or not. But this really helps those rep firms who are on the edge of, can I really afford this or not? And we as ERA/White Pin help tip it over to the point where, yes, I can afford an intern now. And that's really another one of the thrusts and why we have this fund.
Yeah, and frankly, we don't want to pay. We want the rep to have some skin in the game too.
Right.
So it's not like, whatever the difference is, we're trying to take a lot of, to Kingston's point, we're trying to take a lot of the burden off the rep company and make it easy for you to justify bringing an internship in for the summer.
That's the key word, justify. Yeah.
Right, right. Any other questions, Aaron, on the chat room?
No.
Any questions that if somebody wants to raise their hand or open their mic, we certainly want to. We've got a little time left. Well, thank you. We hope that we answered a lot of your questions. Go into there's an email that was sent out on November 6th from Claire. It's got a lot of great information that you can download the form, download the instructions, download the applications. The rep has to submit the application of the internship along with the rep company's application. the training program. If you want to know, there's a guidelines on there. We've downloaded a guideline for training programs to try to make it easy. And we want to help the reps restock the pond. That's really the purpose of this whole thing, to restock the pond. If there are no questions, Aaron, I'll turn it back to you, and you can. I want to thank certainly Kingston and Ellen. They're volunteers in the ERA Army, and we're blessed to have, you know, their industry expertise, industry DNA on the ERA Executive Committee, but also heading up this whole internship program. So thanks to Kingsland and Ellen, and thank you for your time for this ERA live session.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Sure.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Kingsland, for joining us today. It's been very insightful discussion. This session, as we mentioned, it has been recorded. We'll share a link to the recording. It'll be posted on the ERA website under the online tools tab. So you're encouraged to rewatch it or share it with your colleagues. Our next ERA Live session, which will be our final session for 2023, is scheduled for next Tuesday, December 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern. It will feature guest speaker Dennis Reed from Edgewater Research, who will be presenting data collected from the new ERA Industry Trend Survey. So hopefully you can join us for that. Thanks, everyone, and have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you. Great job.